It's fair to say that most people probably have at least one person in their life who is a conflict seeker. What is a conflict seeker? A conflict seeker is someone who, as a pattern, tends to get into little arguments or conflicts with you and seems to seek them out on a fairly regular basis. Someone like this, no matter how hard you try to keep the peace and to try to keep things where you're getting along, a lot of times it never fails. They find some way to enlist you into some kind of a conflict. Now, they may enlist you in a conflict by doing so verbally in a conversation. They may send a text message that's kind of provocative and starts a little bit of a conflict. They may send a passive aggressive email or even an outright kind of verbally aggressive email. So, conflicts for conflict seekers are par for the course. A conflict seeker has conflicts on a regular basis and probably not just with you, probably with a fair number of people in their life. Now, a lot of people ask, well, why do conflict seekers do it? Why do conflict seekers start conflicts? And there's usually a few different reasons. One, a lot of times, is a mood issue. Sometimes that person in your life who seeks out conflicts, they may struggle with kind of depressed feelings, anxious feelings, angry feelings. So, a general problem with mood is often a reason why the conflict seeker starts conflicts with you or anyone else as a pattern. The conflict seeker could have an actual diagnosable mood disorder. So, mood, where the mood is just off and they can't regulate their mood, they can't keep their mood balanced in a regular, consistent, and positive way. Mood is often a reason why conflict seekers start conflicts. Another reason why conflict seekers seek conflict has to do with just a general personality style that could even rise to the level of personality disorder. Individuals with personality disorders often have difficulties maintaining consistent, positive, working relationships that are harmonious. So, an individual who has a personality disorder, they may have relationships, but they may have a difficult time keeping that relationship on a daily basis collaborative, harmonious, peaceful, where everyone feels like they are members of the same team. So, personality factors and even personality disorders are another reason why some individuals seek out conflict. A final reason why some conflict seekers seek conflicts is because, as a rule, they tend to have a personality style where they are kind of oppositional. So they know what the team or what the group wants and is supposed to do. They know what is expected of them, but they don't really want to do it. In fact, their general approach is to oppose it. And so these individuals tend to be oppositional and they start conflicts because they don't really want to operate on a team, right? If someone were to say to these individuals, wow, you're such a great team player, they would think to themselves, that's actually not something that really matters to me or that I was ever trying to be in the first place. So, individuals who seek out a lot of conflicts oftentimes are just really oppositional. And if there is a team involved, they don't just want to be a collaborator on the team, they want to be the head of the team. They want to make the decisions, they want to call the shots, and they also want to be seen by everyone else as the person who has that power and that authority. So, being a team player is not the average goal of a conflict seeker. And in fact, they really want to run the show and they really want to make all the decisions. So these are a few of the reasons why conflict seekers tend to seek out conflicts. It is incredibly frustrating to have someone who's a conflict seeker in your life. And it really requires that you practice a lot of self control and figure out some really clear and concrete ways for you to respond to them rather than engage. I always say the number one rule with the conflict seeker is to not lose your temper. If you lose your temper with a conflict seeker, You have really allowed that conflict seeker to have way too much power over your mood, over your day, and you've really let them hijack the entire experience. So you really can't do that. Now, one of the things that I think is really helpful in dealing with conflict seekers is to remember an acronym. And the acronym is JADE, JADE. And each one of those letters stands for a verb: justify, argue, defend, and explain. The idea is, if you are in a relationship with someone that is toxic, and it could be a boss or a coworker or a sibling or a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or a friend. But if you are in a relationship with a conflict seeker and you find yourself as a pattern getting enlisted in these kind of regular conflicts with them, you don't even know how they do it. How did they? I was so sure I wasn't going to let them get me upset again. And here I am again, right? You feel so frustrated. One of the most tempting behaviors to do is to tell yourself that I must justify, argue, defend, or explain. That you must do one of those four verbs that's in the acronym JADE. So, this is a really good litmus test when you are having an interaction with someone who you have identified as a conflict seeker. You know, there's no question about it. In the beginning, I wasn't sure, was it me? Was I doing something wrong? Was my mood off? Did I pick a fight? No, 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 you say. Now I have enough data. I have enough experiences. You're lucky if you can say, I've also seen this individual now start enough conflicts with others where it's clear this individual is a conflict seeker. Okay, so your litmus test is to say, hold on, when I just said what I said, or when I asked what I asked, was I justifying? Was I defending myself? Was I feeling like I had to explain myself? Was I arguing? Any of those verbs that you're engaging in is a sign for you to check in. Hold on, did I get enlisted in an argument that I shouldn't be having? Did I just catch myself trying to over explain myself as if I'm on trial and I need to make a case for why what I did made sense or was right, right? Do I feel like I'm in this position where I need to keep defending myself? That's not normal. But if you are in a relationship, personal or at work, with someone who is a conflict seeker, you will often end up finding yourself doing one of the verbs of Jade. And it's a really good, clear sign for you. Hold on, take some deep breaths, take a step back, maybe remove yourself from the situation for a moment, maybe pause before you reply to that email, maybe take a moment if you're in person and do a bathroom break, right? Collect yourself and identify, wait, what feeling am I having? Am I frustrated? Am I annoyed? Am I angry? First, identify the feeling and then figure out what makes the most sense for you to keep the peace now and do something that will serve you rather than just continue the frustration. See, if you are in a situation with a conflict seeker, you lose your temper or you react too quickly to the conflict, and then you get in that conflict, you will find that most conflicts serve no positive purpose. Almost nothing good ever comes from your average conflict or your average argument. I believe it's just a way to just burn up energy, just wasted energy. So the art of pause is critical. Retreating for a moment to make sure you're clear on how you feel and to ask yourself what you can do, what behavior you can do in the moment to serve yourself well and to not continue the conflict. That has to be the number one goal with a conflict seeker, is to either avoid the conflict altogether if possible, or to abort the conflict, to keep it short and turn the volume down on the emotional intensity in that moment. I hope this insight tip has been helpful. If so, please like the video, and that will tell me that this is helpful for you. And if you like to go deeper into an issue like this, we cover this issue specifically, handling the conflict seeker in your life, on the Insight with Dr. Seth podcast.